You're listening to Wild Culture, a podcast discussing consumer culture and the powerful influence of business strategy. Have you ever asked yourself, why on earth did I buy that? Well, this episode might just be in your wheelhouse. If you've just found Wild Culture, welcome. I'm Tanika. For those who don't know me, I'm a strategic planner, marketer, researcher, and author. And the topic of today's episode is supermarkets and hyped up stockpiling habits. The reason I want to talk about this specific topic is because it's the unsexy type of consumerism. This is not Black Friday specials. This is not the type of shopping you brag to your friends about. For the majority of us, when we hear the word consumerism, our mind jumps straight to designer gear and spending money on fancy things, right? But today, we're talking about piling up on stuff from the supermarket. And it's something that we've all seen, haven't we? It's what most of us do as we slide towards Christmas and start gathering up all of the cranberry sauce, all of the pickled onions, and the pageantry that we put on over the holidays. But I think the moment we realized that supermarket stockpiling was even a thing was COVID. It really put the floodlights on us when we all started panic buying toilet paper and canned goods. Actually, I just had a flashback to COVID and a picture a friend sent me of inside their pantry. They could have fed, I don't know, probably 15 people for a month with that stash. Stockpiling looks like overflowing trolleys. Costco have those ginormous ones so you can pack more in. Then there's the strategic stacking at the checkout. Sometimes there's almost a competitive air around who can snag the last hot deal of something. But what's really going on here? Why do consumers sometimes feel the urge to transform their homes into mini warehouses? There is a lot to cover in this topic. Some of the things we're going to talk about are the psychology of the consumer. And of course, we're going to talk about the powerful influence of business strategy in stimulating this type of consumerism. And because this topic is hitched on supermarkets, we're also going to cover off a bit about FMCG products. So we'll talk about that shortly. First up, let's talk about how big this stockpiling thing is and what it is that we're actually buying. What you need to know is that the size of this is measurable. Every year, billions of dollars are earned in profits by supermarkets here in Australia. What that really means from a consumer lens is that we are spending billions of dollars on FMCG products. Now, Finder did some analysis on this in January 2025, and what that analysis revealed was that Aussie consumers spend $14.69 billion at supermarkets. In their report, Finder also said that the average household spends $204 per week on groceries. Now, for me, that sounds just a little too low. To me, that is half a trolley full. I have memories from childhood where a fully stacked and overflowing trolley was $400. I think by today's standards, you'd be fairly lucky to walk out of a shop with a full trolley costing anything less than $600, especially if you've got kids. I have kids, so my dream shop would be $204. And our trolleys are smaller today than in the 80s and 90s. But it raises the point that over our lifetime, shopping at the supermarket will add up to be one of the largest expenses that we ever have. Now, I did a quick little bit of maths around this before coming in here to record, and let's just say we go with Finder's $204 a week grocery shop. That is just under $11,000 per year on groceries. If we go with $600 per shop, which is probably more accurate if you're a big family, that is $31,000 per year, which means, again, if you've got kids, you're going to be spending around $600,000 at the supermarket in the years you're raising kids at home. That is a whopper of an investment. So we are talking about one of our biggest expenses in life, and supermarkets mostly sell FMCG products. So what are FMCG products? Well, FMCG stands for fast moving consumer goods. As the name suggests, these are not goods that hang out on the supermarket shelves long. And the reason for that is because they are pretty handy everyday items. They're pretty low in cost and they are used or consumed by the buyer on a regular but predictable basis. Now, that predictability is a big deal because supermarket chains aren't in the business of hoarding cans of corn like we are. So they get to know what their consumers like and they encourage us to keep buying more of them. So a fast turnover of FMCG inventory is what supermarkets are aiming to achieve. FMCG products are all of the things you would have in your pantry and kitchen right now. So that's everything from milk and bread to fruit and veg and snacks like muesli bars, soft drinks, ice cream, razors, toothpaste, flour, pasta, eggs, shampoo and conditioner, pet food. These are reasonably inexpensive items. Some marketers add fashion, specifically fast fashion, into the FMCG category. Now, I'm not going to get too bogged down in whether it is or not. You can make your own mind up about that. But for certain, your premium and luxury fashion items, like your goodies from Chanel, they are not FMCG. So that's FMCG. And these are all the things that we are buying and stockpiling to the billions on. Now let's talk about the consumer psychology of it all. Why would anyone want to spend more on FMCG than their baseline need? To understand this, I want you to do a very simple exercise with me. Now, just imagine you have an aerial view of your local supermarket. Take a top-level bird's eye view and just think about where the walls are, where the checkouts are. Whatever it looks like, map that out. Now, if you're the chef in your household, chances are you have a pretty good inbuilt navigation system and you know exactly where the items you routinely buy are. You know where the milk is. You know where the meat is. You know where the bread you like is, the washing detergent, the puff pastry, the spice, and so on and so forth. If you buy a particular item frequently, map it out in that store. I bet there would be hundreds of items you are able to place just by imagining your local store. Every product inside the supermarket you've just mapped has been selected for you because it will be bought in high frequency and is in high demand by consumers just like you. Those products have something about them that is addictive in some way to the consumer. It is convenient, comfortable, and quick so that the shopper will repeat the purchase of those items often. So what does that exercise about the consumer culture of today's supermarkets tell us? It tells us that they are spending faster, more frequently, with less hurdles and with higher dependency because the products they stock are so reliably there when needed. The challenge is that reliability hasn't stopped us from stockpiling. When you walk into the supermarket, an ordinary shop should be buying exactly what you need when you need it. That behavior is stock replenishment. Brands, however, know we want to replenish what we use. They know consumers want to be prepared and have a sense of control over their lives. So when they go to make dinner, they don't have an, oh crap, where's the nutmeg moment? They have everything they need on hand and they can avoid the mad dash out to the store at an inconvenient time when they're in the middle of cooking dinner. So tapping into our desire and to be prepared is one business strategy that brands will use. And the way they will do that is by marketing their product with a sense of security and abundance to remind you that their product is available right now and you should stock up while you're in the store so you are prepared and your household has everything under control. This message is buy in bulk, be prepared, be in control. It's a powerful message, even if it means you end up with more cans of tuna than you need to feed everyone in your entire street. But those multi-price offers, like the buy 3 for the price of 2, they subtly nudge us to increase our purchase volume. Now, on the consumer behavior front, there's 2 key psychological concepts that we need to peek into. These are deep motivators for excessive consumerism because they are about economics. One of those concepts is something we call loss aversion. It's the idea that we feel the pain of losing something more deeply, so losing the thing hurts us more than the pleasure of gaining something of equal value. So losing $10 hurts more than gaining $10. This is an emotion-based driver of consumer behavior, and it's probably one of the biggest, so you'll want to remember this one. With loss aversion, we will work harder to avoid losing something than we will to gain something, because the negativity associated with the pain provokes stronger emotions, which therefore attracts a greater share of our attention. When we see a limited time offer or hear whispers of a potential shortage, our brains go into overdrive and we are drawn to avoid the loss. This is what was behind the great toilet paper hoarding during COVID. With loss aversion, we're not just thinking about the joy of saving a few bucks. We're subconsciously trying to avoid the pain of not having something we might need later. It's like our inner caveman or inner cave woman suddenly wakes up and screams, "Winter is coming, acquire all of the berries." Except in our modern reality, the berries are already available at the front of the store and they get delivered by a truck in abundance. The other key psychological concept is scarcity. This is the one that's most likely to make headlines, regardless of the market segment, because it drives consumers everywhere wild. You know the drill. The less there is of something, the more desirable it is. And it's not just musicians and luxury brands that use scarcity to their advantage. Supermarkets are masters of playing this card. Limited editions, flash sales, only while stocks last. These aren't just marketing lines, they're psychological triggers designed to make us believe we need to act fast and buy more than we initially intended. So that new pasta sauce brand might not be our favorite, but hey, it's on sale and there aren't many left. We wouldn't want to miss out now, would we? It's the FOMO, the fear of missing out, applied to everyday groceries. The thing about these 2 concepts is that consumers have a very long memory, particularly when they have lived through something heartbreaking or something deeply traumatic. For example, not having enough to eat and going without. That's painful. Or living through a natural disaster and there being a real limited supply, which is fairly common here in Australia. We see heavy rain and drought impact crops every year. Just earlier this year, the cost of bananas skyrocketed to nearly double their value because heavy rain in Queensland damaged them. We've had drought in South Australia this year as well. That affected our grape growers, which of course will mean that we don't have certain homegrown wines available for consumers. These scenarios can increase both pain and prices. Limited supply can also cause inflation. Consumers don't just forget price bites or missing out on things they truly need. That's why consumers stockpile. The thing about the stockpiling is that it tells supermarkets and the supply chain that feeds them that despite our human ability to adapt, create and evolve, we simply aren't convinced that we'll never run out of the things we think we might need. And that's a problem because it deepens consumer dependency on supermarkets. Over time, we become less self-sufficient and that stimulates overproduction of FMCG goods. Now, I'm not saying that supermarkets are the big bad wolf. Not at all. Supermarkets make life a hell of a lot easier than they'd otherwise be and a whole lot less stressful. The point here is that the consumer drive is what creates the demand. When the supermarket meets that demand with a reliable supply and the consumer keeps coming back and keeps stocking up on products unnecessarily without taking a breath and thinking consciously before overloading the trolley, that's a culture of consumer dependency. So what's the takeaway here for both shoppers and businesses? Well, number one, as consumers, we need to get really good at asking ourselves, do we really need 6 jars of pickles? Are we buying this because it's genuinely a good deal or because our primal brain is panicked about a perceived shortage? A little conscious awareness can go a long way in preventing our homes from becoming supermarket overflow facilities. For businesses, playing on consumer emotions will undoubtedly boost sales, but there's a fine line between clever marketing and perpetuating unsustainable consumption and influencing food waste. The better alternative is exploring strategies that focus on genuine value and need rather than artificial scarcity. That's what could lead to long-term customer loyalty and improve social and environmental responsibility. So here's one big question to round out this topic today. If you eliminated all products headed for the stockpile in your home, what would it cost to actually fill your trolley? Let me know the answers in the comments or on our social channels. That's it for today's episode. Till next time. Thanks for listening in to Wild Culture. If you found value in our conversation today, please make sure you follow or subscribe to the show wherever you listen. Taking a moment to leave us a quick rating or review is the best way you can help other curious strategists and passionate spenders find us as well. Bye for now.